All right, let's kick things off with a number that's probably going to make you stop right in your tracks. $6,200. According to some pretty eye-opening recent data, that is the median retirement savings balance for Americans between the ages of 44 and 49. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about folks who have been in the workforce for literally a couple of decades, people right in the middle of their prime earning years, and their median nest egg sits at just over $6,000.
Now, hold that thought and contrast it sharply with what this exact same age group estimates they actually need to feel financially secure in retirement. $500,000. That is a staggering disconnect, isn't it? People in their 40s completely understand they need a substantial cushion to survive those post-working years, yet their actual bank accounts are telling a completely different and, frankly, a pretty alarming story.
So welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack this exact phenomenon. We'll explore the midlife financial squeeze that's currently being documented by the Federal Reserve, dive into exactly why it's happening, and then we're going to reveal a massive structural educational shift that's giving the next generation a serious head start so they don't fall into this same exact trap.
Part 1. The Midlife Wealth Gap.
Okay, so middle-class 40-somethings are staring down a literal $427,000 shortfall. And the kicker? They only have roughly 2 decades left until traditional retirement age to actually close this gap. It's a massive hill to climb, and the macro environment isn't doing them any favors. The national personal savings rate has completely plummeted, dropping from 6.2% to a mere 3.7%. So even though wages have ticked up, that extra money just isn't making its way into savings accounts.
And there's a hidden drain here that's really putting the squeeze on these households. Nearly 40% of middle-class 40-somethings are actively providing care for an aging parent, relative, or friend. You probably heard the term the sandwich generation, right? Well, this is it in action. They're simultaneously raising their own kids, paying off a mortgage, and financially or physically supporting older relatives. This is the decade where their income should absolutely be peaking, but the sheer volume of demands draining that income is peaking at the exact same time.
Part 2. A Tale of Two Consumers.
To really wrap our heads around this squeeze, we've got to look at the Federal Reserve's latest Beige Book data, which basically paints a picture of a fundamentally bifurcated economy. On one hand, you have high income resilience. Affluent consumers are just continuing their spending sprees, pretty much unfazed by price hikes. In New York, for example, luxury goods and expensive watches still selling incredibly well. But on the flip side, we see intense middle-income caution. These households are aggressively shifting their behavior just to cope. They're consolidating shopping trips to save on gas. And auto dealers are noticing that middle-income buyers are swapping out new cars for used or hybrid vehicles purely out of affordability concerns.
And honestly, this quote from a Federal Reserve contact just hits the nail on the head. They described middle-income consumers as squeezing more life out of every dollar before deciding to spend it. It's no longer just about your top-line income anymore. Your overall financial resilience, meaning your lack of debt and fixed expenses, is what's truly dictating your spending power now. Because of this intense pressure, retailers are actually reporting that middle-income households are increasingly relying on credit cards just to bridge the gap for their everyday expenses.
Part 3. Action Plans for Adults.
Okay, so despite how sobering all that sounds, we are definitely not out of options. Financial experts at Corebridge Financial have mapped out 3 highly systemic steps to help catch up. First up, drastically lower your major living costs. And no, cutting your streaming subscriptions isn't going to fix a 20-year savings gap. We are talking about big moves, like deciding to share a single vehicle with your partner instead of paying for 2. Second, get a side job. Earning just an extra $500 a month can literally salvage your retirement without forcing you to sell your house. And third, advance your career. Upskilling and networking to boost your primary salary doesn't just give you more cash to invest today, it actively drives up your future Social Security benefits, since those are based on your lifetime earnings record.
Let's put some real math behind this to show you that there's absolutely still time. Even if you are starting from absolutely zero, if you start saving just $600 a month at age 47 and secure an average annual return of 7%, you're going to have nearly $300,000 by the time you hit 67. If you can bump that up to $1,000 a month, you're looking at almost $500,000. The window to act has definitely not closed. Compounding can still do some seriously heavy lifting in your 40s and 50s.
Which brings us to Part 4, the next generation's advantage. While the adults are out here hustling to catch up, the education system is quietly, or maybe not so quietly, giving the youth a massive structural head start to avoid these exact pitfalls. Check out the number 39. According to the latest biennial survey of the states from the Council for Economic Education, 39 states now mandate a personal finance course just to graduate high school. This is a real game changer. It's a net increase of 4 states since 2024 alone. Personal finance education is literally sweeping the nation right now.
What's actually driving this is this whole portrait of a graduate movement by state education departments. They're completely overhauling graduation pathways to prioritize practical, real-world survival skills over some of those traditional electives. They want students walking across that stage with the actual competencies needed to manage their own financial lives and truly understand how markets work. And we are not just talking about balancing a checkbook anymore. It goes way deeper. In this real-world high school curriculum from TD Bank, teenagers are being taught some incredibly complex risk management concepts. They're learning how to decode a 100/300/50 auto insurance liability policy, meaning they know exactly how much covers bodily injury per person, per accident, and property damage. Let's be real. A lot of adults driving around right now don't even fully grasp what those numbers mean on their own policies.
Plus, they're not just memorizing definitions, they're learning the actual hacks to keep money in their pockets. These high schoolers are figuring out that to lower their auto premiums, they can increase their deductibles, reject optional coverage they don't actually need, like rental car replacement, install anti-theft or driver monitoring devices, and to always comparison shop. They are literally learning to navigate the economy like seasoned pros before they even cash their first full-time paycheck.
Part 5. High School Financial Champions. If you want to know just how incredibly sharp this generation is getting, look no further than the National Personal Finance Challenge, hosted by the Council for Economic Education. Over 21,000 students competed nationwide. And what exactly were they doing? They were building highly complex financial plans for fictional families. We're talking mastering advanced concepts like stocks and bonds, the granular intricacies of retirement planning, and strict credit management. You know, the exact topics that routinely baffle average adult consumers.
It was a fierce competition that wrapped up down at the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. And taking home the 2026 national title was a team of 4 brilliant students from Mount Hebron High School in Ellicott City, Maryland. They beat out 36 other elite teams in the finals, showing off just an unbelievable level of determination and financial savvy. To give you a taste of the caliber we're dealing with, here is one of the exact, high-stakes questions these kids had to answer in the Quiz Bowl. To avoid negatively impacting your credit score, your credit utilization ratio should stay below what percentage of your total limit? Take a second. Do you know it? The answer is 30%, though keeping it under 10% is the real sweet spot for top-tier credit. Knowing these exact mechanics is the kind of advantage that keeps you out of the debt traps currently plaguing so many middle-income households today. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I've got a question to leave you with. Are you as financially savvy as today's top high schoolers? Look, the financial landscape out there is completely unforgiving, as we saw with that $427,000 retirement gap. But whether you're a teenager just wrapping your head around liability insurance or a 47-year-old realizing it's time to start putting away $600 a month, the big takeaway is the exact same. Building real financial resilience is entirely possible, and it is absolutely never too late to learn, to adjust your habits, and to completely rewrite your financial future. So, what step are you going to take today?